Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we're looking at the Twister Wizard, which is a rework build for Season 22. So this is the patch 2610 PTR. Now, all these numbers might go up, they might go down. It's completely subject to change. Now, the build at the moment with 800 Paragon can do GR110 in 10 minutes. So I'll leave that to you to decide whether that is good or bad. It's not S tier, but I don't know, for me it's fairly decent. Now, on season, because the season theme hasn't been turned on the PTR, we will get a 4th cube slot. That will allow us to take an extra damage modifier, and I think this will jump up a good 10 or 12 tiers. Now, if you say to me 110 with 800 Paragon, I'm probably going to say that sounds pretty top tier. So we've got a lot of hope for the season. Now, thanks to anyone who came by the stream today to help me with this build. It was actually a bunch of fun. I'm going to be streaming again later today. This video will probably come out tomorrow. We'll maybe do the necro, but maybe we'll do some more wizards. Haven't quite decided. But yeah, thanks again to anyone who stopped by. Come see me on Twitch. And obviously, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. And as always, guys, thumbs up just brighten my day tremendously. But other than that, let's jump in and take a look at the Twister Wizard. Now, it's going to revolve around the DMO set. So this is basically not the starting set for the wizard, that's going to be the Hydra, but whether this is worth it obviously will depend. We'll bring you the Hydra video as soon as we can. Again, we have kind of tested that, and it's going to be quite tough, I think, on the season to choose between the two. Now, the way DMO works, it all revolves around your slow time bubble. So you pop this down, anything that goes in or out of it, and for 5 seconds after it leaves the bubble, takes the extra damage. The bubble will also give you 60% damage reduction. Now, it's on a 15-second cooldown. The cooldown is reduced by casting Energy Twister. So as you cast it, it comes down. Now, there are 2 ways to play this build. The first is the way with area damage, which is probably slightly better because obviously area damage in this game is king. And then there's a lazy way to play it. The lazy way will be basically using one of the items to generate the twisters for us, and the area damage way will be to actually click them ourselves. Now, if we manually generate twisters, they benefit from area damage. If our Etch Sigil generates them with Arcane Torrent, they don't benefit from area damage. So, you know, as I say, we cleared 100 with both specs, but it was slightly faster with the area damage because, as we say, area damage is king. Now, we're going to take 5 pieces of the DMO and then 2 pieces of Crimsons. The Crimsons will give us extra cooldown, helpful for teleport, helpful for slow time, but not the be-all and end-all of things. But cooldown is more damage because that's how Crimsons works, and guys, you know I love me some Crimsons. We also get resource cost reduction, super helpful because obviously as we chuck out energy twisters, they are quite expensive arcane power, so resource cost reduction is very nice. And then on the 3-piece, resource cost reduction is also mitigation. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of how DMO works. Now, multipliers that have remained the same are going to be the Twisted Sword, so we get 150% extra damage for each twister. We can have a max of 5, so as we click them out, the stacks go up. Once we get to 5, it's 750%. The Rancer's Folly Braces also haven't been changed. These are up to 300% damage. They also have a Vortex effect. Now, the Vortex effect has got quite a tight grouping. I'll show you that once I've done the build. That's really helpful for area damage. It means that you can get an awful lot of value out of that because it will stack an awful lot of stuff and it will continue to suck stuff towards it. But if you're not playing with the area damage version, then basically the grouping doesn't really make much difference to you. Now, what has changed is this two-handed, staff, 200 staff in a cube, 400% increased damage. Now, we're basically going to be taking the Wicked Wind rune, which will plonk the twister in place and it won't move, it'll just stay there. The difficulty that we found was that when we used something like, let's say, the Cold rune, as we fired the twisters, basically mobs weren't getting tagged by their hitbox. So I could be channeling here, and if the Templar was an enemy, sometimes he'd get clipped by one of the twisters and he'd die, and other times it would just completely not do anything, and it'd be 4 or 5 seconds before he died. And even on something as low as like GR80, GR85, that causes you a problem because you're just standing there for ages waiting for it to die, and then it hits you because your defensive buffs have dropped off. So we've basically gone for, let me swap this back before I forget, we've gone for Wicked Wind. So again, it's another effect that this has, the traveling straight path, but we don't make use of it. Now edge sigil has also been changed. We now only generate energy twister. This used to generate any arcane spender. It now will only do energy twister, and we get a bonus of up to 250% when we channel. We're going to take arcane torrent, but by all means disintegrate or rare frost are on the table. It's extra damage from that. We're going to take a traveler's pledge and compass rose, so as we move around we get damage reduction. When we stand still we get damage up to 100% extra, so double damage, pretty nice. Now we've also got a mantle of channeling in the cube. This gives us 25% extra damage and 25% damage reduction, provided we are again using arcane torrent, so pretty good. Legendary gem wise, Taeguk, so as we channel we're going to generate Taeguk stacks. This gives us armor and damage, both of which are lovely. We're going to take a Bane of the Powerful for extra damage against elites and extra damage in general once we've popped our first elite pack. Again, at some point you'll have to swap it over to the Stricken, but GR110 was perfectly capable with the Powerful. And then a Bane of the Trap, because I've tended to find that this is a fairly close range build and the primary effect is often triggered by the secondary, but you could play this build at range. You could certainly swap this out and go for a Zai Stone of Vengeance. I pretend to just like standing in the middle of stuff because, as I say, I'm a bit of a lazy player sometimes. So, you know, by all means, you could try and adapt this to do a bit more damage at range. Again, we'll talk about that with the passives. We've got a cooldown gem in Helm. We don't need tons of cooldown. You know, as I say, these two abilities don't necessarily need it, but with the way Crimson's works with the extra damage, it seems to make sense. We've gone for topaz gems in the chest and trousers, and that pretty much does it. Now, stats wise, area damage, if you want to manually cast your twisters, you want area damage. If you're going to rely on the edge sigil to do that, you don't want any area damage at all. I also wouldn't roll attack speed. The only thing that would benefit really is Arcane Torrent would attack faster and you would build stricken stacks quicker. But as I say, you know, I probably wouldn't roll it. Double crit, main stat, area damage, and then if you're not taking area damage, yeah, maybe defensive stat's probably fine. Resource cost reduction, cooldown. So I guess ideal gloves would be double crit, area damage, cooldown. You know, again, it depends. If you want to roll off the main stat and stuff, you can, but obviously that tends to come later in the game. Area damage, if you're going area damage on the shoulders, and then other than that, twisted damage, you can get this, you can get it on your helm, you can get it on your boots, you can also get it on your offhand. So I did have it on the offhand, did have it on the boots, and I re-rolled it off for area damage, and as I say, it just performed a little better. But area damage is good to take anywhere. Other than that, double crit, arcane skill, so arcane on braces, ideally arcane double crit on your amulet, but obviously, you know, int double crit for me is you know, pretty decent, so we'll take it. I think that covers the gear and the stats. Yeah, area damage on your weapon if you can get it, but again, if you're not doing it, you just want damage percent. So Arcane Torrent Flame Ward, as we channel, we get all these extra damages, we get the bonuses, we get 15% less damage taken, and that stacks up to 25%. So again, if you stand still, that is better for you. Energy Twister, as I say, we've kind of covered that. It's a damage over time, kind of stays in place, which is nice. It removes the randomness of the twisters. I mean, some of the other runes do look interesting, but as I say, we couldn't really get them to work, so this is the one we settled on. If, let's say, that's a bug, maybe we'll come back and take another pass at some of these other ones, but, you know, if you want, like, certainty, this is the one, you put them down, and that's where they go. Slow time, we've got a choice on rune here. You know, this one's not very good. It basically makes the move speed reduction on the enemies larger. That's pretty rubbish. Exhaustion, enemies will deal 25% less damage. If you're struggling for toughness, you can certainly take this, provided you're inside the bubble and the enemies are. 25% damage reduction. I've gone for Time Warp, 15% extra damage. You know, it just seems to make sense to get as much damage as you can. Point of no return is rubbish. When they leave the bubble, stunned for 5 seconds, don't want that one. Then stretch time, 10% attack speed. As I say, attack speed is not overly useful, so I probably wouldn't go for that. Storm Armor, we need this for the Karini for the 80% damage reduction. I'm struggling to remember if we covered that in the items, but yeah, 80% damage reduction from the Karini. We also get a reduction in arcane power cost of 3. Super handy because, as we say, the twisters are pretty thirsty, so that is kind of nice. Magic weapon, again, there's a choice of rune here. Force weapon if you want just the straight 20% damage. I've gone for deflection because just getting that shield just helps us with the toughness, but, you know, again, if you're maybe pushing to the earth, 20% extra damage is probably better than 10% on the shield, but again, totally up to you. Teleport, safe passage, just basically gets us out of trouble. You know, oh shit button if we need to move from an explosion. 25% extra damage, or extra damage reduction rather, and with the level of cooldown we've got, we can use this quite a lot. Wormhole is pretty good. You know, you can. I tend to swap between these two sometimes. I just like the damage reduction, and now I can press teleport and be a little tankier. But Wormhole gives you another teleport, so if you really need to haul ass and get out of dodge, then Wormhole could be better. Passive wise, evocation for the cooldown, just simply for the crimson, so it's extra damage. You know, again, don't necessarily mega need it. And Wavering Will, this is a channeling build, so yeah, sorry, more channeling wizard builds, but we are standing still, so armor, all res, and damage seems to make sense. Unstable anomaly, because the Hail of Carini is a bitch and will drop off at certain times. You know, if you're like me and you get distracted when you're playing ever, it will just drop, so, you know, cheat death is pretty indispensable as the wizard. Galvanizing Ward, again, buffing up shields. Now, if let's say you find you are tanky enough, you can certainly toy with taking one of these two off. I probably would take off this one because it's not adding any extra damage. And then if you like playing this build up close and personal, then you can do Audacity for an extra 30% damage, provided stuff is right up on top of you. And if you're trying to use, let's say, the Zais and trying to be at range with this, then, you know, Power Hungry, again, 30% damage provided you're 30 yards away. But there's tons of other passives. You know, Wizard's got some really good ones if you're struggling for Arcane Power. Astral Presence is not a bad shout. Again, if you've got the Toughness, Glass Cannons, another 15% damage, that could be okay. Yeah, there's a few to go through. Or, again, if you're struggling for Toughness, Blur, another 17% damage reduction. But yeah, they're the passives, they're the skills. Now, I guess we'll just jump into like maybe a 90 and I'll just show you how the mechanics work. So we hop in, we press Storm Armor, so that is up, which is awesome. We press Magic Weapon, that's extra damage, and the shield. Now we need to do the slow time bubble. And then because this is the area damage, we press the twisters, press the twisters, press the twisters, press the twisters with 5 stacks now, stand in the Oculus, and then obviously it should all melt. Now you can recast the twisters at any time, and obviously each one you cast has the benefit of area damage, but what you need to bear in mind is that if, let's say, any come out of the Etch Sigil, they don't. Now it won't overwrite them. If you stick 5 twisters out, the Etch Sigil won't take them away, so provided you get them out, they will actually have the area damage. So it's kind of like click once or twice to group stuff up, and then as you can see, it melts pretty quickly. Now the idea with the area damage version is that the better map you get with the tighter groupings, the more damage it'll do. So, you know, if you get yourself a nice festering woods with absolute shit ton of enemies, then, you know, it's just going to be pretty nice, and you get area damage is going to go through the roof. Now, if you're doing the lazy version, all that you'd simply do is pop your bubble down, and you just sit here like this, and it's channeling, and you just hold it down. The Etch Sigil automatically generates all these twisters for us, and it automatically sucks stuff to us. So again, that's kind of why I'd say that the Audacity is probably better, especially for that version. Now, if you're doing it yourself, you can kind of, you know, run over here, you try and click a twister to group up, and then do the channeling over here. But as I say, I'm a fan of simple and straightforward, so I tend to just kind of sit on top of stuff because, you know, we've got the toughness now. When we do go up to like GR110, when the Death Wish becomes available to us on season, you know, maybe we will have to be a little bit more cautious and be at range. But as I say, there are some toughness bits that we can maybe try and take. You know, you could swap your gem in your helm to resource gem. You can maybe swap your passives around, but once your cube is open, what we're going to do is we're going to take the extra slot, and because it's free, it's as in like it can be anything, it can be weapon, armor, or jewelry. We'll go for this, and obviously I can't change it. Obviously it's same, but the idea again would be similar. You know, you get your 5 twisters out, stuff would be grouped up. You then click this, and then boom. After 1 second, you've got your Etch Sigil burn, or sorry, you've got your Death Wish bonus, and then yeah, it's just extra damage. So another 10-12 tiers on it, I think could be pretty nice. Again, if you're just doing the lazy version, then you'll just hold it down, and Death Wish, Etch Sigil, they'll just do all the work for you. So, as I say, area damage if you're doing it yourself, not area damage if you're going to be kind of lazy and straightforward. So, as I say, totally up to you. What do you guys reckon? GR100, 800 Paragon, is that decent or is that not decent? Do you think it will be S tier on the season? I will come back and make another video, promise, once the season theme goes live. Super keen to get this cube open, but at the moment all we can do is test what Blizz have given us. That is the changes. So we did the Hydra as well on the stream, so we'll bring that video just as soon as I can. Then going to move on, do a little bit of Bone Spear Necro. Really want to check the Crusader out. That looks absolutely nutty as hell. Definitely going to get nerfed. We'll play it just for the lols, but I don't know, we'll see where we are. That's it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. I hope you're staying safe. PTR is on. Come see me on Twitch. Come say hello. I've been the Filthy Casual. I'll see you real soon. Take it easy. Peace.